Hello, welcome to another Tweedy Outdoors video. I am here in the beautiful village of St Abbs in Scotland, just over the border. I've got just taken the train up to Berwick upon Tweedy, which I feel ought to be my spiritual home at some level. I was thinking about trying to do a wild camp somewhere along the River Tweed, but this spot looks so enticing. St Abbs Head over there. I thought I'd give that a go, or maybe one of the beaches nearby. Let's see. My reasons for coming here are threefold, if I can remember all three. First of all, following on from the disappointing news, although there has been a happy ending, at least for now, about wild camping on Dartmoor. I was looking into the right to roam in Scotland and the wonderfully forward-looking laws they have there, which basically let you wild camp wherever you feel like, with you know, give you a right to actually wild camp pretty much wherever you feel like, other than obviously somebody's back garden, etc. And I thought, well, I mean, why don't I do that for a change? So I've jumped on a train, come up to Scotland. Also, Burns Night is approaching. Perhaps by the time you watch this it will indeed be Burns Night. Thought it would be nice for a change to do Burns Night supper actually in Scotland, so we've got that to look forward to. And finally, I wanted to do something a bit special because I've just passed 500 subscribers, so thank you very much to those of you who have the grit and the perseverance to have subscribe to my strange channel. I really appreciate that. Yes, so I thought, you know, rather than the usual hedge camp somewhere in the South Downs or Avebury or that sort of area, I would push the boat out a bit, come all the way up to beautiful Scotland. Well, I'm leaving St Abbs now. Delightful village, actually. Happily would have whiled away a couple of hours sitting in the harbour there. I didn't know that before planning this trip, but apparently this was in one of the Thor movies, and that, I hope you'll agree, it's quite a nice spot. Nicely placed bench there. I have a real soft spot for benches out in the wild, and that is a particularly fine example. That view of St Abbs and the cliffs and the shoreline going all the way down to England over there. Tweed. I think there is actually some shared etymology there. I don't know how authoritative any of this is, but it's likely that the name for the cloth, tweed, was based on a misunderstanding historically, when some cloth was being sent from Scotland down to England. I think it was probably written twill on the order book, but in presumably messy handwriting, and was mistaken for tweed, because there is of course that river of the same name. And there's another etymological point. Tweed actually means border, probably derives from the word for border in one of the old Celtic languages. So quick hi to Allotment Fox. If those of you who don't know his channel already, very interesting the way he wanders around the countryside, unpicking the is etymology the right? I think, is it toponymy? Is that the right word for the derivation of place names? It's the lighthouse, St Abbs lighthouse over there. Spend hours here being indecisive about where exactly to set up camp. There are some bits of flat, well, relatively flat ground. This is definitely not the most sheltered spot. I'm on a sort of local miniature hill, but I do quite like the 360 views it offers. We've got the the sea looking, I'm disoriented now, well, sort of east and slightly to the north there, and then another sea view in that direction looking sort of more southeast back down towards St Abbs, the village. You can see the little lock from earlier, and even a hint of a third sea view over there. Well, I think this tennis ball is obviously a bit of a indication somehow, some divine indication, divine intervention. Somehow that seems like the spot, just down from that little hillock where I was just now. Probably a little bit of shelter coming from this bank. I can see the sea that way. If I stand up, turn around, I can see the what's left of the sunset over there. It's about half an hour before the official moment of sunset. So rather than, as usual, spend that time faffing around setting up the tent, I'm going to attempt to get that done first now in this hopefully fairly discreet spot. I don't think I'm bothering anyone here. I'm quite some distance now from the lighthouse. The little access road is not far, but you know, I don't think I'm an eyesore here tucked behind this little rocky outcrop. As always, it could be better, but it's okay. I don't think the wind's going to be particularly strong tonight. I do have a few extra pegs if necessary. Definitely more than 2 minutes again, but it'll do for tonight. And importantly, only just after 4 o'clock, sunset at 4:20 something, so still a bit of pink sky left to enjoy. Great. I might crack open the whiskey. Wouldn't be a Tweedy Outdoors video unless I'd ridiculously brought along a glass bottle. Not that I've actually walked very far today, but you know, there is a time and a place for Gevrey Chambertin, but Burns Night in Scotland is not it. As much as I love Gevrey Chambertin, goes with everything. Definitely an occasion for whiskey. My absolute favourite whiskey of all time, almost undoubtedly Laphroaig. I think long before I was ever into wine, whiskey was probably my original drink of choice 20 something years ago, and Laphroaig was probably the first one I'd sort of seriously tried with a view to actually enjoying it rather than just knocking it back. So there we go, some free advertising for Laphroaig. I find their cask strength reminds me more authentically of how I originally found Laphroaig to be 20 years ago. It's really raw and it's punchy, and you know, it's full of the sea, full of peat, full of smoke. All the things that I loved about Laphroaig are there in spades. So I haven't tried this particular batch. It's the batch 15 of the cask strength. They do a new one every year. So without further babbling, let's get on and try that. Do have to apologise about the stemware. I didn't really think that through. I have a hip flask in the bag. I could probably switch to that at some point. That might be a bit more in keeping with the theme. It's paper cuts for now. Somehow the usual long stemmed wine glasses didn't really seem appropriate for whiskey, and the tiny little tulip shaped glasses that I use at home for whiskey, a bit fragile. Cheers. Well, I haven't drank it yet, but I would say cheers, a bit premature. I have brought some water along because the ABV on this it's a fairly punchy 56.5, being cask strength, and I'll take a tiny sip of it neat first. Here I am in Scotland, looking out to sea, wrong side of the coast, of course. Isla is west coast, I'm on the east coast, but still, cheers. Slangy, is that the right word? Oh bloody hell, that's good. I'm kind of in heaven here, to be honest. I've got this you know, fantastic bottle of Laphroaig with me. I've got a dinner I'm quite excited about, although slightly apprehensive about whether it will work. Can you really cook haggis? I'm giving the game away there. Can you really cook haggis on a camp stove? We'll find out shortly. It's a great, not very often talked about ultralight backpacking tip. You know, you see a lot of people doing outdoorsy stuff carrying beer. What a terrible weight to booze ratio beer is. Wine slightly better, but you know, even regular spirits around 40% ABV, not absolutely great. But cask strength whiskey, or if you can get, I don't know, cask strength rum or whatever your spirit of choice is, comes in at, you know, 55 to 60%. So that is a fantastic weight saving. Great tip there. Ultralight backpacking tips from Tweedy Outdoors. Tonight, a Burns night supper. We have haggis. Let's see, vegetarian haggis from McSween. Neeps. Apologies for the. I'll cut to a small segment of the actual Swede / turnip. There's an odd sort of disconnect between Scots and English there. Behold the Swede. And to make life easier, instant mash. You can't get instant Swede. That apparently is not a thing. So I'm having to actually boil the Swede. Doesn't look particularly appetizing. So I think that's going to be the first order of business. I'm using this BCB Fire Dragon fuel again. I'm going to try the gel version for a change, just rather than the individual blocks, because I feel like probably going to work a little bit better if I've got a fair amount of cooking to do. Trusty old billy can. I'm going to boil the Swede in there. And to be honest, I cheated slightly and pre-cooked it a bit at home, so it hopefully won't need that long. And I don't even like Swede that much. You know, it's tradition, isn't it? Haggis, neeps and tatties. You can't really have it without the neeps, the Swede. There we go. There's some Swede in there. Pour water in there to cover that. And then, you know, rather than just throw the water away, my fuel efficient tactic I thought about in advance was to drain the water from this off into the instant mash, and thus we will have, you know, mash and neeps and tatties, but with only one lot of water, only boiled once. There we go. It seems to be going. The Swede is boiling away there. Perhaps I need to actually turn the light on in order to see what's going on inside. Ugh. There you go. It's quite satisfying. Meanwhile, over here, I've steamed up a bit. That's fun. I bought one of those ridiculous camping tables. I'm not really sure why, because all sorts of other stuff is just sitting on the grass. But one of those ultralight camping tables that folds, and it weighs something like, what is it, 65 grams, I think it says on there actually. There we go. And because it's Burns night, I brought it could possibly be described as a tablecloth. I don't know what this was. Is this meant to be a pocket square or something? I've scrumpled it up a bit. It doesn't look quite as nice. This is a bit of beautiful Harris tweed. Oh, sorry, dropped the camera. Beautiful Harris tweed in a sort of somewhat tartany sort of pattern. And look, I have a matching hip flask for it as well. Isn't that delightful? Right, well, rather than babbling, I think I should take that off and let that sit, and meanwhile get on with cooking the haggis. I brought along my good old Muller Knieve companion, and my plan for the haggis is to pan fry it. I'm not 100% sure that's an okay thing to do, but you know, what's the worst that can happen? It's the vegetarian one, so it's hopefully it's not going to kill me. I reckon slice the top off there. You see what I'm This probably isn't great footage. My thinking is sort of cut it into slices. Sort of that thick. Well, I say slices, it's just going to fall apart really, isn't it? Yeah, the thing with haggis is the official cooking instructions say wrap it in foil, stick it in the oven, and then bake it for something like 70 minutes or microwave it for about 10 minutes. And you know, here in the outdoors, neither of those things are really options. Okay, just got some oil in a frying pan, not very exciting so far. In we go with the haggis, wish me luck. Brought along a wooden spoon for a change. It smells nice, surprisingly nice. Seems to be working reasonably well. I don't know, it's definitely sizzling in a gratifying way. Shall we give it a splash of whiskey maybe? Mashed potato time. So hi to Dan, Camp Life Bushcraft, for and thanks for putting me onto this Idahoan. I think this came out in a previous video and I didn't really have time to go through my life history of instant mash, but you know, long story short, I used to think instant mashed potato was absolutely vile until I discovered this brand, and it's actually pretty tasty. So thanks, Dan. I think in order for this to work, I'm going to have to use this this mug, the instant mash. So I don't know, very approximate measures, about that much. And then I reckon I can use this hot water strained off from the swede. Trusty spork with me. How's the swede looking? I'm going to give a chunk of that a taste. As I said, I cheated a bit and pre-cooked that slightly at home in the microwave. Oh, good. Is it time to plate up? Right, there's the stupid camping table. It's my little pretense of Scottishness for Burns night. There is some pan-fried haggis, vegetarian haggis, whatever. The lumpy swede. I know this is meant to be, you know, it's supposed to be mashed, but who brings a potato masher to the wild? And then I'm slightly loath to tip the mash in, because that's going to make washing this thing up easy. But anyway, for the aesthetics, there we have it. Haggis, neeps, tatties, Lefroy, cooked. It could be anywhere, couldn't I? Cooked near to a cliff on the east coast of Scotland. Happy Burns night, everyone. Well, I feel like it wouldn't be a Burns night without the ode to a haggis. So I brought along my little book. I'll keep it short, I promise, because nobody's going to enjoy this. You know, as I always say when I'm cooking out in the wild, oh god, the orange bag, go away, evil Sainsbury's bag. As I always say when I'm out in the wild, it feels like I'm always offending some nation's cuisine or other. And you know, tonight is the turn of Scotland. I feel like I've done a reasonable job of that, considering, you know, it's on a camp stove, outdoors. I couldn't find a lot of precedent for that on the web of how to cook haggis, neeps and tatties. So give it a quick taste test before I start poncing about doing poetry. Oh, that is good. It is warming, it's hearty. The slosh of whiskey in the end there was an absolute inspiration. This is great YouTube content, isn't it? Here I am threatening you with a knife. I think you're supposed to be waving a knife whilst doing this poem, and then you plunge it into the haggis at the end. That's not really going to work because I've already sort of pan-fried the haggis. But anyway, perhaps rather than waving the knife, I'll just keep some whiskey handy. Address to a haggis. Robert Burns. I need a moment to get into character here. Fair for your honest sonsy face, great chieftain of the pudding race, aboon them all ye take your place, pinch, tripe or verm, weel are ye worthy o' a grace as long's my arm, ye powers who mak mankind your care, and dish them out their bill of fare. Old Scotland wants nae skinking ware that jops in luggies, but if ye wish her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. Cheers. Happy Burns Night, everybody. I promise I will just get on and eat my bloody dinner, but did I already do a bit of a taste test? I don't know. Did I? I can't remember. Haggis. Still quite textured, but pretty tasty. Instant mash, creamy and lovely. And the Swede is a third component of this meal, about which I'm struggling to find anything particularly positive to say, but it is cooked. Outside of the tent already looks a bit frosty. It's only just gone 7 PM. There's the tennis ball. Yes, I think probably it's time to retreat inside the tent. I'm just having a last wee dram, as they say here in Scotland. I would show you the view, but there's not much to look at. There's the tent. It is a bit chilly now. My feet are definitely quite cold. I wish you could see the stars somehow on this thing. I tried taking a couple of night photos just now to see if they came out, but I have a lovely view of the stars from here. I guess there's just very little light pollution in this corner of Scotland. We're still quite a distance from Edinburgh. I have now retreated inside my tent, and it's not bad actually. I'm guessing the outside temperature is around about freezing, but inside the stupidly small tent that I brought with me, it's nice and cozy actually. Thanks to the big thick quilt, Astugas, and a hokkaido, is that the right word for it? Sort of like one of those hand warmer sachet things from Japan. I'm feeling relatively toasty. It's only about 8 PM though, so it's a bit early to go to sleep, but my daughter has very kindly allowed me to bring the iPad with me, which we sort of share. It's kind of partly mine for video editing and partly hers for playing games and stuff, and she's made a huge sacrifice and allowed me to have that for the night, so I actually could start editing the video. Well, you can't say anything now, can you, because the card's back in the GoPro, but I spent a little bit of time editing the video that I guess I'm still currently in the process of making. That seemed to be quite a good way to pass some time in, for me at least. I mean, obviously if you don't have a YouTube channel, that's no use as a piece of advice, but that was quite a good way to pass a bit of time in a tent in the dark. Is it a tiny bit windy now? The little lantern thing there seems to be rocking about a bit. I'm getting some mild flap, so I think fairly soon I'm gonna call it tonight. It's getting on for what time is it? Nearly 10 PM, which is out in the wild. I don't think that's entirely 10 o'clock seems like an okay time to go to bed if it's dark outside and there's nothing else to do. So unless anything dramatic and exciting happens in the night, I will get back to you tomorrow morning. So good night for now. Good morning. It is just after 7 AM. Got this ridiculous, what's it called, Borg Trapper, something like that, hat on, which I found was quite cozy for sleeping. It was You know, I made it through the night. It was it wasn't not a great night's sleep. It was very windy. That was the main problem. And although I managed to stay reasonably warm thanks to the quilt and this hat, perhaps the noise of the wind made it a bit difficult to sleep. So I've slept a few hours, I think. Is there enough light to see there? The pegs at this end had all come out, but the other end stayed up pretty well, and I suppose that's the end that was getting really battered by the wind there. First glimpse of the sunrise. I'm not quite sure what it's doing over there. Surely the sunrise should be happening over there, but anyway. I hope the GoPro is picking that up. That's quite an incredible sunrise, actually. The intensity of that orange over there, and little tent down there. Fingers are freezing though. Yes, still wearing the ridiculous hat. Nice on the ears though, the little the silly flaps on the side. Bit more of the, I ought to be getting on with, I don't know, making breakfast or packing up the tent or something, but I seem to be just briefly dashing into the tent to get warm enough so I can come out here and then appreciate the sunrise. I think that's absolutely glorious, and I hope it comes out okay on the GoPro. You can see the little lock down there. Scotland, beautiful. Breakfast this morning, not a very complex affair. I have some porridge, some coffee somewhere in the bag, so just a case of boiling some water. I got that going in the end. Bit of a hard work. It was a bit hard work with the lighter, and it's struggling a bit in the wind, but we'll see. Hopefully this will work out. Here comes some terrible camera work. Well, you know, yes, that's happening, but far more noteworthy. Oh, sorry about that. Wow. Good morning. Beautiful, spectacular sunrise. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Part way through packing up. Breakfast hasn't really been a resounding success. The water just didn't boil. I mean, didn't even come close to boiling. It's stone cold in there now. It's just so cold outside that can't seem to heat stuff up. At least last night's dinner worked okay. But more of this glorious, who cares about breakfast, more of this glorious sunrise. Look at that. There you go, hashtag leave no trace. Important in Scotland as much as anywhere else. There was ice on my ground sheet, the footprint for the tent. All that remains now is to head off into the sunrise and eat this probably at best cold, maybe even partially frozen porridge. What freezing cold though it is, what an absolutely glorious spot. Really glad I came here. Heading back to St Abbs now. Coming back to near where the lighthouse was. Just going to follow the coastal path back to St Abbs. Nice to see the sun. My feet are absolutely freezing. St Abbs in the morning sun. Well, I have made it back to St Abbs. I've warmed up quite a bit. My feet have thawed out. I've been able to take some of the extra layers off. Lovely sunny winter's morning now, absolutely delightful. So just a short taxi ride from here back to Berwick upon Tweed station. Could have got the bus, but would have been cutting it a bit fine for my train. So I really enjoyed that little adventure. It's a very short dash up to Scotland and back, not much over 24 hours actually here, or less than 24 hours actually here, but it's been magical. What a spectacular spot St Abbs Head is. Definitely recommend that if you're ever passing through or in the area. Lovely bit of Scotland. What joy to be able to do a Scottish wild camp. So thanks once again to everyone who subscribed, getting me to 500. That's really it's a real treat seeing that. And thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.